Sorry.
So I wanted to first say hello and welcome and introduce myself. My name is Lauren Weeks, and I, along with Katie, who can introduce herself in a second, started Fuse now 11 years ago. We started with our Lexington location, and then we opened our Norwood location 4 years ago now. And we wanted to share tonight a little bit about our program, which is the same in both locations, and field questions that you guys have. But first, I wanted to let Katie also introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Katie Hodnett. I am the program director of the Norwood location. As Lauren said, we started out 11 years ago, and Lauren goes back and forth to both locations, and I primarily stay at the Norwood location.
So what I would like to, and while I'm talking, if you have questions, Katie is really fantastic, unlike myself, at looking at the chat while we are doing this. So if you have questions that come up, and you can for sure put them in the chat, or you can throw your email in the chat and we can reach out to you with more information as well. But what I thought I would start with is just kind of logistics about what we offer, who we are, and then we can open it up to questions at the end. First and foremost, we are a school that is integrated for children that are neurodiverse and for children that are neurotypical. We are definitely a neurodiverse affirming program in that we accept all kids. We have certain kids profiles that certainly are benefit more from our programs than others, which I will talk about in a little while. Our programs are very small ratio. We have 6 kids to 2 teachers in our classrooms. Most of our classrooms, we start actually with a toddler program that has 2 to 3 to 4 children in it, and that program is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or can be a 5-day program. That's a 9 to 12 program. We then move into our preschool program, our pre-kindergarten program. We have a transitional kindergarten program for those kids who might have a summer birthday and make the cutoff for kindergarten, but many families with kids who are neurodiverse are wanting that extra year to build their social emotional development. So we have a transitional kindergarten program and a kindergarten program. In Lexington, we have a kindergarten / first grade program. In Norwood, we have a first grade / second grade classroom. So we go up to second grade in Norwood. All of those programs go from 8:30 for our older kids to 2 o'clock, 8:30 for our older kids, 9 o'clock for our younger kids, and all end at 2 o'clock. Each location, Norwood and Lexington, have one half day in the week. Norwood Wednesday, Lexington Thursday, for the school week. We also have extended day in both locations for working families that goes until 3:45. And all of our preschool through second grade are full week programs. We've tried in the past to do like 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and that doesn't work as well. We do have some kids who have done a little bit of a hybrid program with the public school. We're certainly willing to be flexible around that. We know kids get services through the public school as well as come to Fuse. So we certainly work with parents and are flexible around scheduling with what a child needs. We also have social groups, which are very popular for both our school kids and kids that don't go to our school and may attend our summer camp, which is happening now. Our social group programs really focus on that social collaboration, the perspective taking, social communication, just all things that are really focused on that social interaction happen in the social group. And those are a ratio of 2 to 3 children per group. And they happen at various times in the afternoon from 2 o'clock up to a 3:45 start, depending on the age of the kid and if they're coming from outside or within our program. Kind of a little bit about who we are and where we come from. A lot of people will always ask kind of what our curriculum is. And I would say we are a program that is focused on supporting children in a process approach, which by that I mean we are not looking to create skills as much as we are working to internalize functions. So we really utilize a relationship-based program that is focused on helping them process through their emotions, process through a peer interaction, develop the skills they need to maintain an interaction, and then also repair breakdowns in interaction. A lot of programs that are more behaviorally based are teaching skills such as, hi, how are you? Or how to play, but not necessarily how to engage with another child in a naturalistic way. And I think sometimes that's where the term kind of masking comes in, that they're taught how to do something rather than the why and the motivation behind it. So we are really a program that focus on that social emotional development from based on the individual needs of the child and individual strengths and individual weaknesses. And we're going to build on those individual weaknesses where we really focus on the whole child and help them gain the confidence and gain the motivation to want to work on their flexibility, work on thinking about themselves in relation to the group, work on thinking about maybe playing outside of the realm of their own individual preferred interest or play. We kind of focus on that collaboration piece, and a big piece around that is really thinking about flexibility and thinking about perspective taking. When we speak about the whole child, our really big main focus, and as we start to develop our, right now we're in the process of developing the training for our teachers, our biggest goal in training our teachers is to help them learn to think about individual differences of children. Because if we're trying to help a child and support their social needs, what we first have to figure out is what do they need, so we can then help them feel successful and thrive with peers in a school setting, in a social setting, in a learning environment, in a playground environment. So we want to look at the whole child and understand their strengths, and then understand their areas of weakness and build upon them. So a child that's really has more of a weakness in the social communication, social pragmatics, we're going to build in a lot of visuals. We're going to build in a lot of that communication tools so they can feel successful. A child who has a lot of sensory needs, regulation needs, we're going to build in a lot of sensory input, a lot of regulation movement. And if you have come to visit, you will see that both of our schools, basically the entire schools around revolves around regulation spaces and regulation movement breaks. When we think about the whole child and what they need in terms of their social development, we look at it as a ladder or a staircase of you're moving up, you're moving down. Our initial focus is obviously trust and felt safety with an adult that then is going to generalize to the child. But what we want to really build is that joy and motivation to want to engage. And then we go up the ladder. And sometimes you can go up the ladder when it's me in a one-to-one session with a child, and then we bring in another child. Oh, we have to go back down the ladder to work on those nonverbals and to work on the engagement. And then we go up the ladder, then we get to the whole group. We have to move back down a step to build those skills in a group setting. And then we can go up the ladder a little bit more. What we do in that, as we think about the ladder, we're thinking about individual differences. We're thinking about the social emotional ladder of development. What our teachers are working on throughout that is the intention behind what they're doing. You could see trucks out, which you would see in any preschool, first grade, second grade, but it's how that truck station, it could be a mat with trucks and 3 kids at that station. What happens in other programs is the teacher is there to manage the children, whereas at Fuse, because we know we're working on that social ladder, our goal as a teacher in that moment is to not to manage them, but to facilitate and mindfully engage the children in that interaction and really help them notice, connect, and think about the other child that they're playing with. So if I have a truck, I'm going to say, oh, wait, I noticed that so-and-so needs a truck, or, oh man, they have some blocks. Let's go take our truck to gather the blocks. So engage the other child with the child who has the block, or if I have the truck, I'm going to help engage another child. So we are building those connections and getting kids to notice each other as they're sharing space, rather than just letting whatever happens with the trucks happens. And 9 times out of 10, with our kids that have a hard time engaging, it implodes because they start fighting over the truck, and then someone gets upset or someone uses their hands to get the truck. And so what ends up happening for our kids is they see play as really hard, and wait, it's a lot easier to play by myself than to try to play trucks with someone, that it always ends negatively. So what we're doing when play is managed rather than intentionally facilitated and supported is we're validating to our kids time and time again that play is hard and playing by myself is safer and easier. And we want to really help them build that confidence that playing with others is fun and can be enjoyable. And really our entire goal is really the shared enjoyment. If a social skill to me is the internalization of that motivation to want to share joy, not that I can get a child to play pirates on a pirate ship, because no matter where you go, there may not be a pirate ship. But if we can teach children, if we can internalize that skill of the shared joy, we're going to allow them to want to connect with others. The way we do that at Fuse is really thinking of the process over the product. Like in this picture, I don't care what, if they know the colors of the scarf, I care that they're all enjoying the moment together with the scarves and that they're connecting as a group. Not everybody needs to be sitting, because in this moment, everyone is excited about throwing the scarves. Not exactly, they don't have to look perfect, they have to be part of the moment. And that for us is really helping kids understand that it's not about which chair, which color you're sitting in, it's about the process, which allows them to see that it's about the engagement over the truck they get, the color scarf they get, or something like that. A really big, when talking about curriculum and how we support children in the social emotional development, a huge key part of that is our communication to our kids, so that then their communication in turn to us is intentional, is spontaneous, and that it's self-initiated rather than kind of us feeding them scripts. There's lots of different types of communication that we really focus on at Fuse. We really highlight nonverbal communication because you have to be able to read another peer's cues, nonverbal cues. You have to be able to read an adult's cues, and you have to be able to read the room to create that independent problem solving. We are really focused on affect as teachers, because if we show them that shared affect, that's going to really draw them in for that shared joy experience. And then we're really focused on declarative communication over imperative communication, because if all we do is, if you look at the phrases to the right, it's all prompts and it's all demands, and really leaves no gray area, which is that flexible thinking we're trying to build in our kids, and tells them what to do, so that all they have to do is walk around and listen for the next prompt and adhere to the prompt, and they're going to get from point A to point B to point C. But what we lose in that, which is very easy to, and very much done in larger schools with larger class sizes, with one teacher for 20 kids, that gets everyone to the right place. And there is nothing wrong with that. But for our kids that really need to expand their thinking and think in a more problem solving way, if we use I notice, I wonder, I'm thinking about, it's getting them to think about themselves in relation to us, so that they are adapting their actions to first the teacher, and then obviously to the other kids and peers around them. This is a really nice video. It just was taken spontaneously, of a teacher again, process over product, not teaching a child to throw a ball, but showing a child, teaching, we call it teaching, but I think in other programs it would be called showing or modeling, how to remain engaged with a ball. So again, the
Lauren.
teacher is not
Lauren, there's no
using
sound.
any language at all. I can't, can you hear the volume, Katie?
No, that's what I was just saying. There's no sound.
So the teacher is not using her language. She's only using nonverbals, and he's reading her nonverbals and adapting his actions accordingly. And when he messes up, she uses her nonverbals to gain his attention. So what we want to do and what we think about a lot in communication is teaching our kids to co-regulate their actions with their peers and thinking about how to co-regulate and move with another person. So what we do a lot is, let me see, I cannot hear the volume. Hold on, I may have to do a, Katie, do you hear the
Still
volume?
nothing. No.
Oh, my sound. Okay, can you hear me, Katie?
Yeah, we can hear your voice, just not the
Oh,
videos.
weird. Oh, I was like, did you not hear me this whole
We
time?
could hear the music in the beginning, so I'm not sure why.
I
And
know.
of course I'd let you know if I couldn't hear you the whole time.
It's like if I've been talking to myself, that would be really funny. All right. My volume is all the way down, so hold on. Wait. Sorry. For a second, I have to now. All right. I'm gonna share the screen again. Sorry, guys. Technology was going so smooth for a second. All right. Let's see. The first video, luckily, you didn't have to see. Let's see if this one plays.
Right.
All right, here we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Underneath the car. Underneath the car.
Can you turn it up on your end, Lauren?
No. Can you not hear it at all?
No, you could hear it, just it wasn't as loud as it typically
I think
is.
that's just not a loud one. So I'm gonna leave it because then I take another 2 minutes to
Sure.
go back. So co-regulation is playing and working together and adapting your actions. So what we do a lot is play and play with roles. So in that video, they were pretend fixing a car. So he was the under part of the car, and then there was the parts department, and the friend knew what his role, and the other friend who was the parts department knew her role, and they were working together. So that is a lot of the co-regulation piece of my part of play is related and connected to your part of play, and we're going to adapt our actions according to each other. This is in play development, naturally happens, but for our friends who are working on building play, if we can build that and show them how to be competent role players, that is how they then can join play and feel more competent. This is like a very simple play where we had this tube in our playground, and they figured out, hey, wait, I'm gonna be at the top of the structure and I'm gonna send you balls to the bottom of the structure.
It's right here. Sparky, it's right here.
So what we do in that is just think about how to get kids connection and get kids connected. And what you would see if you actually came to one of our playgrounds is within that interaction, there's an adult bridging those moments and helping those moments happen in a way that makes the kids feel successful and make the kids share that experience with each other. So this could look like a pile of blocks, but what this is actually is an entire class working together, using their language to communicate to each other, understanding my idea might be different from a friend's idea, but our goal is that we are building together. So this is the shared experience of something that is made that is about the process of the connecting all the pieces and all the ideas together into one big thing. What is happening at our summer camp this summer in both locations, one of Katie and I's favorite parts is the group names of each group, because it is a shared collaborative experience that one group could be the silly dinosaur unicorn hearts, another group could be the pizza flamingos with Crocs, because it's someone wants pizza, someone wants flamingos, someone's really into Crocs. So we're going to squish those ideas together. And what comes out may not sound beautiful, but for that group, there's a pride in that they've done it together. And they own that name and love that name, and it becomes who they are for the entire week, because it's that collaborative experience. Kind of just some other pieces of our program within the school are that we are constantly thinking about sensory integration and occupational therapy. We have occupational therapists in both locations, and we have dedicated space for that because they have all of their equipment that is suspended and that gives different types of sensory input, from a proprioceptive to a vestibular input. And a lot of kids will do pull out OT sessions, which there's a base tuition cost, and then you can add OT or you can add speech therapy as additional services that happen within the day, to what your child gets when they're at Fuse. A big goal of mine when I started Fuse was I did not want a child to have to run around after school and after they're tacked from an entire school day to get their additional services, which I think are very important and really part and parcel to who the whole child is. So it was really important to me to create that team similar to what a public school does, but what is dissimilar for us versus a public school is our team is always meeting and always communicating with parents. And when we have our parent conferences, which happen 3 times a year, the occupational therapists and the speech therapists are part of those conferences with myself and the teacher, or Katie and the teacher, so that you are getting that holistic view of your child throughout the year. And the OTs and the speech therapists are part of the supervision to the teachers and the consultation throughout the year. This is just another example of how we integrate in the sensory input throughout the day in either in a transition or in a morning play. Because it's so important, we have to really ground the body and sometimes awaken the body for the brain and the body to connect. So we're on scooters, we're crawling down the hall, we're using all kinds of tactile input, so that children are really experiencing all of that whole body learning throughout the day. What we are also constantly working on is really thinking about the fine motor aspects of handwriting and building up to that. So we use a handwriting without tears, or for the earlier learners, it's called learning without tears. And where we start is just curves and straight, and curves and straight turns into what they call in this curriculum a map man. And so we just learned to make the map man, and then we realized these curves and straights turns into letters. And so we start to develop letters, but we also use multimodal sensory different sensory ways to think about writing before we ever show them a pencil, because a lot of kids, especially in older grades, have such an aversion to a pencil because it's been drilled into them that there is a way, or their thought is there's a perfect way and there's not a perfect way. So we really use sand, shaving cream, all kinds of different methods to build that in together. In terms of academics, we start our academics in our preschool and in our pre-K, but then we really build in the academics, which is why we kind of have that longer day, starting in our transitional kindergarten program, where we build in the foundations, which is how we teach the phonics to reading, and then up to reading. We have the writer's workshop, the reader's workshop, and the mathematics. But what we also do is really build in a thematic learning process of, let's say we're like in this activity, I think they're working on cooking. And so then they're writing menus together, they're taking orders together. So that's how they're working on their spelling and their writing at the same time as they're also doing a fun like cooking project.
Okay, the thing, where is?
Oh, this is actually, sorry, this is actually a space. This is the cooking one.
I want chocolate chips and blank and plain. Okay. That equals just chocolate chip.
So this other one that is a space theme, where they are working on math and writing as they're doing a launch off space thing. Let's see.
Okay, the thing, where is 15 space gems? 6. Something at the map. Is 6 right? Yep. 6 is right. Give you the map. There's the map. To Venus. And that, and you're doing mission. Is this right? Yep, mission number 20. Right. 10 seconds. Blast off. Up, buckle seatbelts. Boop. Guys, blasting off in boop. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So that also video was 2 years ago. We need to actually update it because we obviously are not wearing masks anymore. But that kind of shows a little bit about what our academics are